Canada Arts and Entertainment Job Websites at Curlie. Chapter 1. Canada Theatre Performing Arts Job Websites at Curlie. Canada Arts and Entertainment Subcategories at curlie.org/n/regional/north_America/Canada/arts_and_entertainment. Subcategories. By province or territory. By region. Indigenous. Métis. Actors and actresses. Architecture. Artists and galleries. Authors. Body art studios. Dance. Graphic design. Haunted houses. Libraries. Literature. Movies. Museums. Music. Organizations. Performing arts. Photograph. Poets. Publishing. Radio. Restaurants and bars. Science fiction and fantasy conventions and organizations. Television. Theater. Canada Arts and Entertainment Websites at curlie.org/n/regional/north_America/Canada/arts_and_entertainment. PortraitSociety.ca, the Portrait Society of Canada. Providing art exhibitions, performances, portrait arts festivals, workshops, lectures, and seminars in public places and educational institutions in Canada. Academy.ca, Academy of Canadian Cinema and Television. Home of the Genie Awards, Prix-Gemio, and Gemini Awards, which promotes, recognizes and celebrates Canadian cinema and television. Canadiary.com, Canadiary. Event listings for Toronto, Montreal, Calgary, Ottawa, Edmonton, Vancouver, Winnipeg, and other Canadian cities. Exclaim.ca, Exclaim. Examines the culture of Canadian music, film, and comedy. Fringefestivals.com, the Canadian Association of Fringe Festivals. To safeguard the integrity of fringe festivals. ACC.format.com, Association of Canadian Cartoonists. A professional association concerned with promoting the interests of staff, freelance, and student editorial cartoonists in Canada. Actare.ca, ACTRA. The Alliance of Canadian Cinema, Television, and Radio Artists is the union of professional performers working in English-language recorded media in Canada including TV, film, radio and digital media. AFBS.ca, ACTRA Fraternal Benefit Society. Insurance benefits and investment services to Canadian performers and screenwriters. AFChelps.ca, the AFC. Compassionate aid to entertainment professionals in need. Artistsincanada.com, Artists in Canada. National Directory of links to visual artists, galleries, and art resources. asmallstove.com, A Small Stove. Food and cookbook writer. Brio.tv, Brio TV. Writing about the Canadian media and television scene. Businessandarts.org, business/arts. To strengthen arts and culture in Canada by connecting arts organizations to business patrons and volunteers. CanadaArt.info. Includes descriptions and links to handcraft, performance, visual, and written word artists and art organizations. Canadianaci.ca, Canadian Animation, Cartooning and Illustration. An encyclopedia of Canadian animation and cartooning. CanadianaRT.ca, Canadian art. Quarterly with articles about Canadian and international visual art, a national guide to exhibitions and events in the visual arts, and book reviews. CanadianBeerDay.ca, Canadian Beer Day. A day to celebrate Canadian beer, brewers, sellers, shippers, servers, and drinkers. CanadianCartoonists.blogspot.com, news from the Association of Canadian Cartoonists. Updates for and about Canadian cartoonists. CanadianCowboys.ca, Canadian Cowboys Association. Organizing, promoting, and supporting the rodeo, cowboy and cowgirl entertainment business. CanadianPoetry.org, Canadian Poetry. History, reviews, and discussion of Canadian poets and poetry. CanadianWoodworking.com, Canadian Woodworking Magazine. For woodworking crafters in Canada. CanFilmDay.ca, National Canadian Film Day. A coast-to-coast-to-coast event celebrating and promoting Canadian cinema and film. CanCIP.org, Canadian Society of Children's Authors, Illustrators, and Performers. A national, professional group for people in the field of children's culture. CanuCKLEGame.ca, Canuckle Game. Word game. Each word has something to do with Canadian history and or culture. CAPIC.org, Canadian Association of Professional Image Creators. CAPIC is a not-for-profit association dedicated to safeguarding and promoting the rights and interests of photographers and illustrators. CarFAC.ca, CARFAC. Incorporated federally as a non-profit corporation that is the national voice of Canada's professional visual artists. CBBAG.ca, Canadian Bookbinders and Book Artists Guild. Supports the development of the book arts in Canada. CBC.ca, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC. Features news, information, entertainment, radio networks, and specialty cable TV. CMF-FMC.ca, Canadian Media Fund. Funding agency for the Canadian film and television industry. CMPA.ca, Canadian Media Production Association. The CMPA represents screen-based media companies engaged in the production and distribution of TV, feature film, and digital media content in Canada. CollectionsCanada.gc.ca, Library and Archives Canada. Federal cultural agency responsible for collecting and preserving Canada's published heritage so that it's available for present and future generations of Canadians. CSFFA.ca, the Canadian Science Fiction and Fantasy Association. Highlighting and awarding the best of French-Canadian science fiction, fantasy, or horror. CTV.ca, Television Network. CultureCanada.co.uk, Culture Canada. A virtual Canada gallery and a guide to Canadian art and creative talents in the UK. DesignCanada.com, Design Canada. Celebrating the history of Canadian graphic design. DGC.ca, Directors Guild of Canada. Docherg.ca, Documentary Organization of Canada. A collective voice for independent documentary makers across Canada. EatNorth.com, Eat North. Stories of the Canadian food scene and the people behind it. Exlibris.ca, Ex Libris Association. FunCanada.ca, Fun Canada. A search and directory of entertainment facilities in Canada. Funicularmagazine.com, Funicular Magazine. Publishes short fiction, flash fiction, and poetry from emerging and established Canadian writers, as well as features stories by writers from around the world. GetTickets.ca, Get Tickets. Buy and sell tickets for Canadian events online. GlowFestival.com, Christmas Glow Gardens. Indoor Christmas Festival and Market. Langley, BC, Edmonton, Alberta, and Barrie, Ontario. GreatKitchenParty.com, Canada's Great Kitchen Party. HorizonZero.ca, Horizon Zero. Archive of a monthly web publication dedicated to the digital arts and culture scene of Canada. iReadCanadian.com, I Read Canadian. Supports getting Canadian books into the hands of young people across the country. ISAN.ca, International Standard Audiovisual Number. A unique, permanent, and internationally recognized number for audiovisual works, making immediate and accurate identification possible. LauraCalder.com, Laura Calder. Cookbook writer and food television show writer and host. Miss Teen Canada International.com, Miss Teen Canada International. An annual pageant to honor young women between the ages of 13 and 17, offering scholarships and the opportunity to represent her country. NAC-CNA.ca, National Arts Centre. Performing Arts Venue. Ottawa. Parbury.ca, Darren Parberry. Thoughts and expressions by Darren Parberry. pulpandagger.com/movies/filmtv.html, The Great Canadian Guide to the Movies and TV. Includes listings and reviews of Canadian-made movies and TV series. RealCanada.ca, Real Canada. Promotes Canadian film through 3 core programs: Our Films in Our Schools, Welcome to Canada, and National Canadian Film Day. ScenePlus.ca, Scene. An entertainment loyalty rewards program sponsored by Scotiabank and Cineplex Entertainment. SequentialPulp.ca, Sequential. Canadian comics news and culture. StoryHive.com, StoryHive. Offers production grants and distribution via TELUS for filmmakers and creators in BC and Alberta. TheWordOnTheStreet.ca, The Word on the Street. Book and magazine fair celebrating literacy and the printed word. Locations include Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto, Halifax, and Kitchener. Ticketmaster.ca, Ticketmaster. Buy your event tickets online and look up venue information and seating maps. TomJackson.ca/Tomali-Pictures, Tomali Pictures Ltd. Production company and studios led by Canadian actor and singer Tom Jackson. WeirdCanada.com, Weird Canada. To encourage, connect, and document creative expression across Canada. WomenInView.ca, Women in View. A national not-for-profit organization strengthening gender representation and diversity in Canadian media. Canada Arts Organizations at curlie.org/n/art/organizations/regional/Canada. ad-ac.ca, Art Dealers Association of Canada, ADAC. Member gallery listings and contact information. Gallery Workshop Studio in Vancouver, BC. ScarboroughArts.com, Scarborough Arts. Toronto, Ontario. ad-ac.ca, Art Dealers Association of Canada, ADAC. Member gallery listings and contact information. Artists.ca, Federation of Canadian Artists. The Federation, FCA, is a non-profit organization dedicated to the promotion and professional development of artists, and services for art collectors. CanadaCouncil.ca, Canada Council for the Arts. ArtistsForThePoor.ca, Canadian Artists for the Poor. Hosts art auctions to raise funds for people living in extreme poverty around the world. CAVI.ca, Contemporary Art Society of Vancouver. Organization to promote an appreciation and understanding of 20th century art. CraftonTario.com, Craft Ontario. An arts service organization promoting fine craft and offering educational programming. CulturalHRC.ca, Cultural Human Resources Council. Brings together cultural workers and employers to address training, career development, and other human resource issues. KickingHorseCulture.ca, Kicking Horse Culture. The Arts Council of Golden, BC. maltwood.uvic.ca/Cura, Community University Research Alliance. Develops collaborative relationships between the University of Victoria, its partners, and the arts and heritage community throughout British Columbia. Morrisociety.org, the William Morris Society of Canada. Listings, and free postings of Canadian events pertaining to William Morris, the arts and crafts movement. PineRidgeArts.org, Pine Ridge Arts Council. Dedicated to enhance the quality of life within the community by developing widespread appreciation, support, and involvement in the arts. TheaCTMapleRidge.org, Maple Ridge Arts Center and Theater. Offers theater, art center, and art council offer programs and special events.